Ephraim asks, here's what he asked. You ready?
I'm ready. What did he ask?
He said, along with your permaculture education, along with your permaculture education, have you gone down the herbalism rabbit hole, figuring out what native weeds and edibles are helpful?
So I have started down the herbalism rabbit hole. Not so much like native weeds and plants here yet, but I'm working towards that because I definitely want to be able to walk out into the forest, which is, you know, a couple hundred yards that way, and pick things out that are helpful. But I have started making some tinctures for immunity and, you know, white willow bark for pain relief and that kind of stuff. So I have started it. I do have a few hard copy books that I am reading out of. I found some recipes online. You can find all kinds of that stuff. So yes, I have definitely started down the herbalism rabbit hole.
So, have you tested them?
Not yet. So my oregano oil is ready to be strained today.
Where are the weeds coming, the herbs coming from?
The ones that I've been buying from are just a company online that is all organic. The people that I saw that had the recipes specifically said these are the ones I use. Not, hey, here's my affiliate link, but these are the ones that I bought with my own money to use, kind of thing.
Have you, does it say made in China?
No, they're definitely sourced from different countries, but...
So every time I look at, like, pharmaceuticals, right? Like the fitness industry, right? Supplements. I picture a dude in Thailand where they're like harvesting cocaine or something. Like I picture that picture. But like the dudes from India that were making all the PPE masks and they were sitting in a floor with dirt and the dude didn't have hands, so he was using his toes.
Yeah.
And they were fucking making all your PPE masks.
Handling all your face masks out of the dirt. In their feet, where they're gonna now put them on your face.
I've always wondered about that. I tested for hot for steroids because I got some supplement that was made in something that wasn't cleaned out. Mm-hmm. Like that probably is true, but is it true for the guy who got caught with steroids, or was he just doing steroids?
Is it true for the dude that's like a fucking the biggest dude at the bodybuilding show? So there were a lot of stuff in supplements early days. Yeah. That will pop positive for anabolics, right? Yeah. There was a lot of that stuff, and a lot of it was, in fact, anabolics.
Do you think
the good old days?
Yeah, I was like, do you think that the people who used to get caught for it actually just accidentally ingested it, or do you think that was just their excuse?
I think they were probably doing both.
Yeah.
Like, if you were like, John, this right here has a bunch of Decadurable in it. I would buy all of it. Yeah. And because sooner or later they're going to get caught, and I would like to have Decadurable. Like I've asked for a script for it several times, and it's hard to write it in the United States. Whereas Canada, if you fucking injure a joint, the first thing they do is give you Decadurable.
Really, I didn't know that.
Yeah. It reduces inflammation. It also
hydrates.
It kind of hydrates the joint, but you'll fuck yourself up, right? Because you're not feeling the pain. Yeah. So you can definitely amplify the injury if you continue to train how you train. Yeah. And then other stuff like, there's other stuff, but it'll like dry your joints out, right? And you'll fuck yourself up from that.
It's all about the balance.
How do you set your primary fitness goals? Specifically, are you training for functional fitness, strength, generalized health, and fitness, or other? As a follow-up, do you have specific nutrition plan you adhere to? When I walk in a room and Amanda doesn't look horny, I think that I need to work out more, right? My goal is to be in such shape that she's like a spider monkey when I come in and she's jumping on me and she's like, you have got to take care of this, right? Do I do a good job of that?
You do a good job.
So I thought I like the idea of being a bodybuilder. I don't like the idea of having to eat like a bodybuilder.
Yeah, it's a full-time job.
We've had professional coaches. Justin Swinney coached a lot of dudes that came up through the different rankings. We know people in the industry. I just like to work out sometimes. Like I said earlier in the video, I'm going to be the most fit person on this property when we have 1,000 people here. Now, there's always that ringer that shows up, right? When I asked Alan, and I asked Swinny the same thing. I'm like, can I come into my first show and win everything on the show? He's like, that's up to you, right? That's all on you. And yes, you could, but even if you're at that level, you never know when the monster's going to show up. That dude that's been training as he's a professional but has never walked on a stage. So the first time he's on stage, he gets a trophy just for showing up on the stage, right? So you never know when that ringer is going to be in there. But with 1,000 people here, I'm going to be in very good shape compared to where I am today. And the only thing I'm going to do is I'm going to work out a little more. I'm going to cardio an extra time a day, which on some days that could mean I'm going to do it once now instead of 0. And I'm not going to drink any alcohol. And the alcohol is going to be the biggest changer for me when I don't drink alcohol. In a 30-day period, I mean, my fucking body fat, like all my vascularity. I have veins in my shoulders right now. I have veins down here. I have a little gut. That will all go away from literally just dropping alcohol. I don't even have to not eat ice cream and donuts, but I haven't really been doing that either. Like there's a lot of ice cream in the freezer.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I can't think of the last time you had a dessert.
So that's the only thing I'm gonna change, and in 2 weeks, I'm gonna look hugely different. So, and that's at 50. Now I have chemicals. I'm on board, right? I'm fucking high on chemicals. My test level is off the chart. Like literally, I'm maxed out on the overall. Free test, I'm at 48. 48. And there's a lot of other labs that go in there with that, right? I'm just giving you the test levels, but we test a lot of shit.
His labs are great.
I have a little bit of estrogen, and this kind, like I want to be 0 estrogen, right? But our doc said it's good that he has a little estrogen because that will prevent late stage dementia. And I didn't ever correlate those two. I'd never heard that, so I'm thinking, oh, maybe I do need to carry some estrogen.
It also prevents losing a lot of bone density as you age, which is important because nobody wants to be delicate.
I feel delicate. Like I need a couple surgeries done, and I just keep putting them off.
But they're not bone surgeries.
Correct.
Those are
correct.
It's all soft tissue.
The dementia thing's pretty interesting to me because really that's like the only thing that I'm scared of. Like if I get in a car accident and die, I'm dead. What does it matter?
Well, the good news is you won't know it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm scared of. Like somebody else has to take care of me. Like I take care of me.
We've had this conversation plenty of times for 22 cents.
So that is... I
can make your family's problems go away.
I've explained that to them, that if that ever happens and there's a moment of clarity, don't come find me. Like it's not, just don't come find me.
So how do you set primary fitness goals? The real answer is I don't have any, and that's probably where I'm lacking. If I was going to structure my life in a more structured manner, I would absolutely hire a trainer, because the trainer is going to show up and he's going to be like, hey, put the fucking phone down, right? I can work out to my own devices. Truth be told, though, even when I work out hard for me, that's really not even probably 50% of my capacity. Like I haven't actually worked out to the level of my ability in years and years and years. And that would happen when Justin was in the gym. I would walk out and literally have left everything I had to give in the gym. But left to my own devices, I don't. Not at all. I would hire a trainer. And I'm always surprised when I see dudes with a lot of money, especially dudes doing motivational shit, right? I'm always surprised when they don't look in shape, because I feel like if you can't get yourself in shape, if you won't take care of that thing that's almost free, why am I going to take any other advice from you? I think that just fucking completely discredits you. Just like dental work. If you have fucked up grill, especially, I don't care what's in the back that I don't see, but if you're the dude that's telling me how to make money or how to run my life or how to better myself, I feel like you should probably have fucking your front teeth in your mouth. So that's drive strength.
He does not follow a specific diet plan. He eats.
I eat all the time. I eat every hour almost. I snack all through the day. And if I was serious about it, I would use fasting. I would use intermittent fasting. I'd probably go 16 hours. Well, probably more than that. I'd probably go at least 16 hours and then feed in a 2-hour feeding window. like Brandel was doing. He had that coach running his stuff.
The thing about you, which is different than most other people, though, is you're running at like high capacity all day long, so you almost need to snack every hour.
And he has a lot of caffeine in his system, like all the time.
Somebody like a normal person who is, you know, maybe they get physical activity at work and then they go home and sit down. They don't need it like you need it, you know.
I don't know that I need it, and I often question if I am really running. When you see me moving, I'm definitely moving fast. The big squirrel. In the members meet videos posted on September 11th, you mentioned, I am paraphrasing, rich people don't spend money. They have assets and use assets to get loans. Is this possible for a middle-class income person, myself, to achieve or mirror this approach? I would say there are a lot of things that you can do as middle class. I would say there's even things that low income people could do. They are simply not taught them. Why do we not teach a kid how to do amortization, how to figure out what a loan costs on the back end with the interest rates? Why don't we teach kids how to balance a checkbook? Because we want them to be slave labor, because most of them are coming out of the public school system. The public school system comes from a school system World War II, World War I, pre-World War I, the Prussian school system. And it was designed to indoctrinate kids into school to become factory workers. And it wasn't that we were programming them to be factory workers. We were programming them to move with a bell. Show up at this time, have lunch at this time, take a break at this time. But back then, I don't think there were even any breaks. That's what a lot of our revolts and our where the Pinkertons mowed down a lot of people, like at the Ford factory and U.S. Steel and stuff, that was simply over a 5-day work week. And I believe it was, they were working 7 days a week, and I don't think they had breaks in there either. I think they had lunch maybe. So that's where the 5-day work week came from. And I've had dudes come over here from Germany, and they're like, oh, you don't have holiday. Like Germany, it would seem that the Germans have half of their fucking life not at work. But I also believe that most Germans also don't own businesses, right? It's more like, and I could be completely wrong, but I think it's more like the USSR was, right? In
other countries there's a working class instead of a middle class, and they, you know, like, that you either are the person that is inventing stuff or you're the person that's doing what that guy tells you to do. Like, there isn't the middle, like, I'm going to go out on my own, you know?
I remember as a kid them telling you, like, you can be anything you want to be, right? You can, and I remember people standing, I don't know who those people were, they were not the teachers. But saying, like, you can be anything you want to be. If you want to be the president, you can be the president. You can be an astronaut. You can be a doctor or a heart surgeon, right? You can be all these things. They don't tell people that anymore. They don't tell kids that. And even if we do, it's almost like we tell kids that while their parents are there. And then you completely unprogram them and reprogram them when parents aren't there. The big question is, how come I can drop my dog off at the dog sitter this weekend, right? And I can at any time access my dog's kennel and run and see my dog. But as a parent, I can't see what's being said to my child in government school. I can take my child to daycare. Even when our kids were little and we took them to daycare, we had access to fucking watch online on the computer.
Where Annie worked, the only places that didn't have cameras were the bathroom and her office. And everything else you can see all the time if you had access to it.
Right.
The parents did.
So, yes, I think you can. I had paid off. Is this possible? I had paid off the house 10 years early. That's huge. Like, people don't realize, like, if you buy, we were just what were we talking about yesterday? If you buy
something for $300,000,
you buy a $300,000 house. By the time you've paid it off on a 30-year loan, you're over $1 million. Is that correct?
Depends, like probably right about now.
Depending on your interest rate.
Yeah, the interest rate, and the interest rate just went up to almost 7%, and it's going to go up to about 9% next year.
There was a number, it was, if you just made one extra house payment.
Yeah, it turns it into like a 20-year loan. If you make 13 house payments a year, I think it's 19 or 20-year loan instead of a 30-year loan.
Which would be huge. That'd be a huge difference.
You have to decide, like, so let's say your house payment is $2,000, just to make it like an easy number. would you be better off taking that $2,000 a year and putting it someplace else, or putting it into your house to pay it off early? And that's an answer that's personal. You got to decide it for yourself. And a lot of people do. Like, a lot of people want to pay it off early so they don't have any debt. A lot of people want to leverage their debt, you know. But to his question, can the middle class do it? Go out to your neighborhood and see how many people have new boats and new trucks, and they're working the same kind of jobs that you have. They're not rich. They just took a new loan out on their house.
Right.
There's also there's another aspect to that you're probably not in that. It's not of concern. If your property is not paid off, you cannot be sued for your property either. Like, if the bank has first position on the property, or if somebody had a lien against it, they can't take it from you. It can't be snatched from you.
Yeah, it's like, I've actually went through this. Somebody hit me, and we were like just trying to get the medical bills paid. They hit me, like, we had a car accident, and the lawyer was like, they owe more than the house is worth, so let's not even sue them, because it's not gonna, you're not gonna get anything out of it, you know.
Yeah, a lot of times we want to use it as punishment.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had paid off the house 10 years early, and I'm wondering if I could, and if so, how to use it as an asset. Note, I'm a city dweller. I am trying to come up with a plan to move out up north out of the cities in Minnesota. I'm not the dude to ask. I am not the money guy. I would do shit all the time that money guys would literally lose their fucking mind over. But with that said, for instance, you have that house, that's an asset, right? So you can secure loans for several ways against other properties. Now that house is paid off, you can also take a loan against that house for a property. You could take a signature loan. They're only going to give you so much without collateralizing that, but you could use that property. You could also take a construction loan out against that property for other things. There's a lot of stuff you can do. You have a lot of options. I'm not the guy to ask about that. I get a lot of my information off of TikTok. When somebody says some shit and you're like, holy shit, I didn't know that, watch 15 or 20 other pieces and see if they throw some shit out that you know is bullshit, and then they're disqualified. But when you start unraveling that and you start listening to the people that those other people mention, talk about, and actually do videos with also, you will find the root and you will find the real information.
I was just going to say, if you're using your property for income or for money, your last option is to sell it, because especially right now, it's going to cost you money to, like, the buyer is going to want you to do something, and then you have to pay 6%, 3% to each real estate agent. The seller pays that, the buyer doesn't pay anything, and then when you get your check that's a lot smaller than you think it's going to be, you got to pay taxes on it.
What do you mean 6 to each real estate agent?
3 to each real estate agent. Your real estate agent that's selling it and the buyer's real estate agent, they each get 3%.
Got you.
You give them each 3% of the commission.
Got you. So it's going to be a lot smaller, and then you're paying taxes. So that's your last option. Look at all your options and consider that one to be the last one.
Take a loan out against it, rent it, Airbnb it. I mean,
all of those are better than selling, especially
a lot of people see big dollar amounts right now, so they're selling their properties. And for instance, moving here as an example, right? There are hundreds of people who have moved here, and lo and behold, their surprise when the contractors they've bought like 100 acres, but the contractor's like, we'll start your project in 4 years.
Yeah.
Like, there's no one here to build shit. There is literally no one to build shit here. So just keep that in mind, right? You might sell while it's high, and you might find yourself in a tiny house, and you might be like, I don't need this, man. If it was us, I'd do a tiny house and a barn dominium, but way less minium and way more barn, right? I'd do a giant garage with an apartment or a living quarters upstairs. I don't even need a living quarters. We could just do rooms, a bathroom, and then
we just need a closet and a bedroom,
like a bunkhouse almost. Like, you don't realize what these things are when you start looking post and beam and barn dominiums. There's a group on Facebook. I know some of these people are like, I'm not doing. Well, you're missing out. I don't know what to tell you. That's where the information is that I'm going to give you.
That's what I was going to say. In a world where information is at your fingertips, why would you say that you're not going to get it?
Yeah. So garage goals, and dream garages. Follow those 2 pages. There's some amazing shit. It's like looking at Pinterest. Like, you didn't know you needed to go to Pinterest, but when you go to Pinterest, you find yourself having a lot less money because you bought a lot of shit you didn't know you wanted. That's like Pinterest. I need a curator. I need a Pinterest person, and I'll be like, I want my herb garden to look like this, but I want you to come and install it, right? I need that person on staff that does gardening, bonsai, artificial insemination of animals, dusts, antiques, and also curates and writes information. I need that person.
I need the bonsai person. I've got 2 bonsai trees that are turning brown.
We know the bonsai person.
Really?
And he does all of the Hilton or Marriott properties. Like every bonsai tree that around the world that is in I think it's Marriott, but he does all of the bonsai trees for those people.
I had them smuggled into California because you can't buy them in California.
Why?
I have no idea. It's just one of those things.
Because it's California.
Yeah, and then we moved them out here, and they survived the move. And then like 3-4 months ago, they're just dying. I don't have them in the ground though. They're in pots in my office. I probably should move them to a place
outside.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
See, like I want a glass atrium greenhouse, like big, so big parrots can fly around. I want to walk in and bonsai trees and running water and koi and shit.
Yeah.
But I don't want to have to take care of that shit. And the reality is I'm probably going to walk out there twice a year and sit down and drink coffee.
Yep.
But parrots are expensive, so I need like a parrot caretaker.
We need a parrot rental.
Man, I've got the best parrot, man. I have the best parrot. I've got a blue and gold macaw, taxidermied. Fucking best parrot. I look at it every day and I'm like, I love that parrot.
And it doesn't make any noise.
Doesn't bite your toe off.
It doesn't poop
doesn't
everywhere.
Doesn't eat your furniture. Fucking doesn't. I don't have to pick up dander. It doesn't pull its feathers out when you don't pay it attention.
Doesn't tell you to fuck off.
Yeah.
So the real answer is I don't know the answer.
The real answer is get creative.
Hypothetical firearm question. You can only pick. Oh, you're giving us 3. You can only pick 3 to keep for whatever reason. Please tell us what pistol, Glock 19, what shotgun, probably an 870. I mean, there's some cool fucking semi-autos. I've had a bunch of them. 870 works every fucking time, and never does it not work. And what rifle? AR-15 if you can only have one. You can still shoot deer with it. Where do we live, right? What area are we in? Maybe a 308 gun, but probably an AR-15.
And get a bow.
What would you get? What would yours picks be?
The only thing I could say is a Glock 19. I don't really know.
What's the...
I would pick an AK, though.
An AK over an AR?
Yeah, just because I like them better.
That's weird.
Well, because look, so the AK is like the Glock, right? Like you don't have to baby it. It's not delicate. You can put it in the mud and take it out and use it. If you do that with an AR, it's not going to run.
Just spray Windex down the barrel when you shoot shitty ammo.
That's right.
What's the smaller Glock pistol?
43. They have a 43, which is 9mm. They have a 43X, which is a little bit longer. They have a 48, which I think is a 380.
Don't they do that with the 19 also? They take a 19, but it has
it's a 26.
20, but that's the single stack.
No, the 26 I think is the really small double
it's
stack.
it's the super
like
tiny one.
Imagine if Glock just made all their guns. Like if a Glock 17, it should hold 17 rounds.
Yeah.
Glock 19, it should hold 19 rounds.
I agree.
One of them does. Like one of them accidentally got
the 17.
Right number. Yeah.
Glock 21 is very deceptive. It does not hold 21 bullets.
And it's not a 9mm.
I think you should have a 1022 in there too.
Yes.
Especially when shit's really bad, because you can still do things with 1022s. Or any kind of 22, but 1022, it fucking eats almost anything, especially nowadays. You can get side folders for them. You can get them so the barrels come off. And should you ever need to do it, you can quiet them down. Fucking all you hear is the bolt, right? When there's no more regulations like that. Or just buy a little suppressor for it. I mean, you can. I think they even have a keychain suppressor that'll go on those things. I won last week, and I've ordered once so far. Where am I at?
That's where you're at. GB.
Hypothetical question. Can you pick? Okay. I won last week, and I've only ordered once so far, so I don't feel right taking more free stuff from you guys, but I would still love to know the answer to my question. Thank you for the tank top and toiletry bag. They came today. I'm going to use both next week on my trip. So I don't remember what toiletry bag I sent you, but I do remember looking at your order. And based off the colors, we try to send you something in the colors you use. So Bob Lester, 2-part question. What size and volume do you want that cistern to be? When do you want to schedule the project? So Bob, I have no concept of what that looks like dollar-wise and manpower. Manpower, I think just excavator, and I think that we're going to have some metal hooks in the form, and we're going to excavator it or maybe telehandler it in place. And then we put a seal, like a gasket on the top, and then the lid gets put on. And then other than that, it's pumps and pipes, right? But I don't have a concept of what that looks like in dollar amount. I don't know if that's a $10,000 project, a $50,000 or $100. I don't know what concrete costs like that. And it has to be a concrete box in a manner that semi-trucks can drive over it. So I'm guessing we're going to bury it 24 inches under surface, maybe 36 inches under surface. But I don't know that. I need you to tell me that. I don't know what that project looks like.
I have a question about that.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about this all week because we were talking about it last week. When in a world where you have all the containers that you need to store water plus 3 ponds, why do you need that?
Because number one, nobody sees it. Mm-hmm. It's a massive volume of water. And water takes a lot of volume to store, right? Mm-hmm. So if we put water tanks on the side of these buildings, you're always amazed when you see the footprint. When you actually put it in place, you're like, holy shit, this is giant. Mm-hmm. So a 1,000 gallon water tank has the same footprint as a 2, 3, or 4,000 gallon tank. So when we put 1,000 and 1,500 gallon tanks on the corner of the rabbit shed, mm-hmm. it was completely in the way. It literally blocked half of the distance between the chicken and the rabbits to get to the other duck pen up top. Yeah. It's enormous. It is fucking huge. Like, you can't see around it. Shit can hide behind it. Whereas if we put one in the ground, automatically we have 50,000 gallons of potable water on demand. It's stable underground. It doesn't freeze. We can pump it straight into the building into filtration. We can use it for fire suppression. We can use it for a lot of different things. And that's why. Yeah. And while we're digging that hole, I would think, let's double it and use one for cistern and one for fucking storm shelter. Mm-hmm. Or just storage until it's storm shelter, right? Because we could easily trench to the building, cut slab, and have a stairwell accessing from inside the building into that other piece there. Mm-hmm. And then if that's a shelter, or you built that into a bomb shelter or anything, you would have 50,000 gallons of water on hand right here. And nobody knows it's there. It doesn't. The biggest thing is that we are running out of room on the property. Yeah. So when we put a shipping container in, that's 8 feet by 40 feet. So now we have 8, 16, 24 feet by 40, right? We can fill that up. We can also take those containers, move them out, put arches, trusses on them, and have a drive-in for to keep the tractors and shit out of the sun. Mm-hmm. You can do that. Plus, that water in the ground, it doesn't matter what happens here. That water will a tornado won't pick those water that cistern up and throw it.
That makes a lot of sense.
Now, granted, if that happens, we have a lot of other issues, but we still have 50,000 gallons of water, I guess, and a tent. Casey Kemp, if you are making a new product that is not a variant of what you already make, how do you determine when to bring it to market, and do you test it in classes or give it to people doing the things? The majority of the things that we build right now, we don't have to test them. Like, we know what the market is. If it's something brand new, it'll go out for testing, right? It'll get used or run. But most of what we do is really a variation of what we already do. How do we bring it to market? You watch us do that. You just don't realize it's happening. A lot of times we'll put some shit out there. You'll see photos. And if it doesn't fucking blow up the first time you see it, we're probably not making it. We have hundreds of things that we have never brought to market. I have bags of shit ready to go. Like the lever gun rig, for instance, right? We made lever gun cards. There's a couple dudes that have lever gun cards for their shotgun and cop rigs. I think Sherman had a set of the original ones. There wasn't a lot of interest in it. There's a few dudes with 30-30s until Chris Costa started showing his lever gun, and then Yeti started showing from Sentinel, started showing his guns. and then, you know, War Pig Customs. And the reason those guys are out there is probably because of War Pig Customs. Chisel Manufacturing, awesome company. They're making cool shit for these guns. And the way you can mentally sell it to yourself is, well, I can't have ARs where I'm at. Okay, get it. Chris will even tell you, all those dudes will tell you, bump in the night, I'm not grabbing this fucking lever gun. I'm grabbing an AR or, you know, pistol.
It might have been Chris Costa that said, nobody's going to question a lever gun.
Correct.
Like, you're driving across
country.
Did. Yeah, you're driving across country, nobody's going to care you have a lever gun with you.
Yeah, he did. Well, they might question the way Chris's lever gun looks, right? It doesn't look traditional cowboy gun.
Yeah.
But that's just an example, right? So we made that thing. It wasn't ready to come to market. Chris came in and he'd asked me a few times. And I'm like, we didn't do anything with it. But he was standing in the shop. Him, Such, a few of the other dudes were in here. And he's like, I want this rig right here, but without the medical on it. So I did it. And now guys are like, would you build this rig with medical? Would you build, for most dudes, that rig would be better off, you'd be better served with a utility pocket, because the utility pocket, you can put 2 smokes, you can put 2 med trays, you can put 4 bottles of water, you can put 4 AR mags, you could put a ton more ammo. The question is, do we do utility and only 2 things of shells, or do we give you 3 and make it a bigger rig? And the problem, when you ask dudes, A, B, C, which of these 3 do you want, the most guys are going to pick one, but the 2 guys that don't pick that, they're going to be upset that you didn't pick their shit. Some of them will settle and buy the thing that you brought to market, but a lot of guys are like, fuck that guy, he didn't take what I wanted. And they see it personal, they really do. It's like sales, right? Hey, I need this thing. Okay, yeah, we have one of those things. What are you going to use it for? Oh, hold on, we might not. Yeah, somebody, look, I remember getting a call a couple days. So you tell them yes, ask them what they need it for. You have now committed them in their head to reaffirming that they in fact do need it, and then you tell them that they don't have it, right? And that's just sales. Oh, hey, you know what? Let me check. I think I saw the girl boxing a couple of these. Let me see if that order's ready to ship out. I might be able to take them. That's sales, right? I'm a terrible salesman, but I know sales. And that's kind of how this shit is, right? So we show you a photo of it, and we see what the hype is. Usually when we put a photo out, here's how we used to do it. Especially, we would build stuff for the SEAL platoons. We do 1 platoon, sister platoon, 32, maybe, you know, a few more guys. We get really good photos of it. We get it out at Nyland under aircraft, call for fire and stuff. We would put the pictures of the gear to Japan. We would sell the gear in Japan only to Japanese dealers. And they would bid, and I'm only going to build 100 of these, and whoever buys it has to buy all 100, so I don't have to ship to. So we would only sell all 100 to one dealer, so we don't have to deal with customs, we don't have to deal with bank transfers, any of that shit. One guy gets all of them, plus he controls the market in Japan. He can decide whether he wants to drip some out to the other dealers and let them also sell, you just get better performers that way. The guy with the money usually is going to buy everything. And he's never going to question it. There's urgency to it. So we would show those items in backgrounds of photos. We're showing this, but this thing's here over here. Guys would ask about it. We would ignore it for weeks. Meanwhile, we're building them. And then we would show it again, confirm what it was. Yeah, this is what it is. I don't know if we're going to build them. Meanwhile, we're building them. As soon as those hit, guys know, oh shit, I better fucking buy this thing. And a lot of what we bring to market has to do with interaction on social media. When I put something up that I think is going to get a ton of traffic and you guys don't give traffic on it, we just don't fucking build it. Because I have, at this point, I think people don't realize it doesn't fucking matter what we build within this business. It might not be you who buys it, but we're going to sell every fucking thing we make as soon as we make it to somebody. I have way more clients than I have capacity, and it's always been that way. Dudes always show up and they're like, well, he should hire more people, or he should do this, or he should do that. It's never a business person giving me the advice, the free advice. And that's always how it's been. Every time we scale, every time we put infrastructure, every time we bring more bodies and skill in, we still sell every fucking stitch of it. That's why we turned off. We don't have any dealers. Most people building stuff build thousands of the same thing, and then they have to disseminate, they have to put it out to all their dealers, and then you're on their dealers to sell that, and then you gave them a margin, right? So you're doing volume, you're doing fewer items, you have capacity, but if you have a couple dealers that are mad at you and they get together and put your shit on sale, they just destroyed your brand. You have no control over your brand at all, no matter what they signed, no matter what your deal was. So we just do everything direct to consumer. We control our market, and we know our customers a lot better. Like, we know our customers. Like, they come here just to come here. So it's good. It works really well. And in the last few years, well, the last 10 years probably, you know, you'd come into town. James wanted your $1,000 for training. I wanted your $1,000 for gear. The ammunitions guys want $1,000 for that. We were fishing in a very, very small, shallow pond, and we were sharing a lot of customers. And that's like when we bought the Toyota, we went to Overland Expo. That's a ton of new customers and eyeballs, and every dude with a truck and a dick, he's got a rifle, and that's a potential customer for TAC Response. But our customer base over the last 5 years is really less than 10%, 90% organically ours, and 10% is shared with Tactical Response. So just like we've seen money come up, money come down, and especially beginning of COVID, our focus was how do we bring even newer eyeballs in. And we meshed up. That was Self-Reliance Festival. We mesh up. We have the eyeballs for the gun and the meat eaters. How do we bring all these other dudes in and mash them up? How do we bring some of these guys over to Tactical Response? And then how do we teach these guys how to grow food? And it's just been very good, all the projects that we've been doing.
With getting customers too, I think doing like, you know, I guess this could be used as like a dirty word, but doing like the lifestyle gear stuff. Like, I'm not unique. I have girls that I live with, wife and daughters and stuff. They have more SOE stuff than I do, but it's not going to be any of the gunfighter stuff. They have bags, they have pouches, stuff like that. And when you start to offer that kind of stuff, you'll get a whole nother type of client.
You used to see, like, I heard they've gone corporate, right? Yeah. You heard that about who's the motorcycle guy?
Keanu Reeves?
No, builds high dollar handguns.
Oh, Jesse James.
Jesse James, right? So Jesse James, you heard that, right? When he started putting his stuff in Walmart. You're mad because he's making millions of dollars? Like, you're literally mad because somebody has a shirt like you have because he's making millions of dollars. We saw it a lot with the Metal Militia guys, right?
Yep.
Twitch and Deegan and all them dudes. When those Metal Militia shirts started going into the mall to like Sun and Sports and Tilly's was the other big one. Oh, they've gone corporate. And then they're in JCPenney. You saw it with Fox Racing, right? Fox Racing, when we were little kids, we had Fox stickers on our BMX bikes. Mom had them on the truck. When we were moving dirt bikes and BMX bikes, we always had them on Mom's Blazer, right? Fox. I hadn't seen a Fox tattoo since I was a kid looking at magazines. But we moved here, middle of nowhere, and there's girls all around fucking Walmart wearing Fox tattoos, right? They're not even old enough to have known where Fox started from or what it was, right? I think it was Santa Barbara's where they started. So that's the whole, they've gone corporate. You're mad because they're making fucking millions of dollars? Like, enjoy your trailer. I mean, I don't know what to fucking tell you.
And not only that, like, people like me, where you can have a spouse that sees you buying all this, like, gun shit and is upset that you're wasting money, but then if you buy them stuff too, then it's not wasting money anymore.
So let me speak to that. Right? When we started first let me say Oakley, right? We used to go to Oakley stores, and especially when we moved here. Like, we went to Oakley stores in California, they were much cooler. The Oakley stores here in the mall were sunglasses and some snowboard stuff and, you know, backpacks. But as soon as I saw Oakley making their Alpha Pack with the metal branding and the metal hardware on it, I said, we need to do this, right? It's got a military look, but it's not military. We will sell it for every one dude that buys SOE, we can sell 10,000 units to other dudes who don't know what SOE is by mashing this up, right? Industrial with military. How do we do that? And that's when we started putting like red thread on the black, red thread on Typhon. I bought a fucking truck solely because it had red stitching. The day I bought that truck, we didn't have any intention of going to a Toyota dealership at all. So when we started putting the colored thread and stuff, and then we started putting pink thread, there were dudes actively talking shit. But when we looked at the analytics of it, when we looked at the numbers for it, it mostly was not women buying pink thread, orange thread, toxic green thread. It was dudes buying their stuff. And to justify this, look, baby, I bought you this thing, right? How many times I've done it, right? Hey, I bought you a bow for Christmas. But it's the same bow I have, right? She has no ownership in it. She shoots a Eva Shockey bow by Bowtech that's made for a female. It's got we custom ordered limbs in for her. She's got all her own silencers. She's got custom strings. She's got custom arrows. She's invested in it, right? So when we did pink thread, guys would buy their stuff. Hey, before she could even say anything, hey, I got you this thing. Here it is, right? And then we saw women start buying it. But what we saw is the sales jumped drastically. That dude was going to buy this thing. He bought, let's say he buys a cop rig, and then he buys her a shotgun rig. But he puts these other pistol mags on, and he gets her pistol mags. And our sales went fucking insane. Now, we've seen other companies pop up trying to do colored thread. They're miserable at it. It literally takes 3 times longer to put colored thread in because we almost always oversew it, and you have to hit each fucking stitch. And when you deviate, that's what I'm seeing happen. Other guys sewing it, they're deviating, and it's like a fucking beacon. It's because if you sell a piece of, if I send a piece of product out that's got some missed stitches, inevitably the dude taking the picture is going to put that in the picture, not on purpose. But it's going to be there, right? So we'll actually pick stitch lines out with a little tiny screwdriver and resew them. And we don't ever start here and tie in because that's glaring too. If you have 4 or 5 lines of stitching and then it goes to 2, we pick that entire line out of there. So we spend a lot of time with that stuff. That's why it costs more. Dudes buy it though. Like I don't give a fuck what anybody says about, oh, he's corporate or SOE's designs are old. Motherfucker, find me a motherfucker saying our designs aren't fucking functional that is even of age to have fucking seen any combat.
Well, I was gonna say something about they asked, do you test it?
We used to, so hold that for a second. We used to get a ton of, hey, if you send me this, I'll test it. I'm like, dude, if we're building it, it's because somebody brought this in and they're like, hey, this is the new dagger, this is the new Singars, this is the new 152. Can you build a pouch for it? It's fucking well tested. I don't need you to test it.
Yeah, exactly.
And then guys are like, hey, will you send me a sample to test out? What's your last order number? I get all the time, hey, we're taking donations for this nonprofit. I'm like, what's your last order number? They don't have one. So you have all these dudes that were active duty. You want me to send you some free shit, but none of you have ever bought anything from us. No, I'll put my money in my community where I can see what it does. What were you going to say?
I was just going to say, you know that your gear, no matter what it is that you build, works the way you want it to because you have the experience. And when you build something new, it's because you see a problem that needs fixing. So there is no input needed. Like, you know the gear's going to last, and you know this is going to fix the problem that you want it to fix.
90% of our shit is all 5 designs. We just move the numbers and bedazzle it a little bit different.
Yeah, and who cares if it was designed 30 years ago? If it works, it works.
I saw a dude tagged me in a post yesterday, and he had bought some rifle cases from some other company. And he's like, these things are so fucking expensive and so hard to get, and they are so simple. I don't know why you would fucking dump these. Like, they're selling them for twice on the market, right? That's kind of how Strider is, right? You can buy a Strider for $750, but they sell out in fucking 30 seconds. So there is a secondary market. So not only are they selling to the consumer, they're selling to the investor as well as that's kind of their dealer program, right?
Yeah.
So, but these other rifle cases, like when I look at them, I'm like, those are fucking trash. Literally fucking trash. And guys are paying $500-600 for them. But there's this crazy fucking feeding frenzy around them, right?
Well, I think that's the difference between making lifestyle stuff and starting out as a lifestyle brand. Because a lot of people will, like, somebody like, okay, we're going to be the hot new gear company. We can market this, so we'll have these other people build it and market it. And they have no clue about their own product.
That's true. A lot of those companies are not sewing their own stuff.
Yeah, exactly. But you started off making the gear so you know that it's there for a reason and that it's going to work.
Right. So I guess we've answered that question.
Yeah.
Vince Vega, you still have the Rover and the Cayman. I do. I have the Rover, I have the Cayman, I have the Panamera. I have literally everything you've ever seen me buy. I have all of it. All the watches, all the knives, all the lifestyle, all the luxury. I have fucking all of it. I have safes full of shit at different places full of shit. I'm terrible about getting rid of things. And if somebody came in, if I was going to list the Cayman for sale and a dude came in and was stupid on his offer, I would literally throw a road flare in it and videotape it. I would burn it up before I'd sell it. I have everything, all of it, every single piece of it. Jeremy Kirby, if climate control storage isn't an option, what is the valid way to store beans, rice, etc.? I vacuum sealed them, but don't have storage in my house. So it's an outside building. Should I put moisture absorbers, or would there be any condensation? I think there will when you have rapid temperature changes, right? Now, with that said, I was surprised to see some people doing things on very big scale that I kind of look up to. They're kind of a compound. They have wheat and rice in 55-gallon drums sitting right out in the sun. Now, we keep it that way for our animals, and it doesn't seem to be a problem, right? If I have a bag of feed that stays in the feed house, I can open it up for years and there's not mold. But as soon as I have an extra one on the four-wheeler and it gets rained on, the next day it's full of mold. I really don't know the answer to that. I'm going to bring, I think Jacob Herman and I are going to shoot some videos. He said he has a 17-episode outline, I think. You guys heard him on Wheat Grinders Don't Shit Bread with James. And that was a 3-part episode. And oh my God, fucking the information that Jacob... I used to hate Jacob, right? Jacob would come around and he would always derail our conversations that I thought were important. And he was just always a fucking drunk. He was always loud. He was just a fucking asshole. And one day we're sitting at La Ponto's, which became the steakhouse or some bullshit here in town. We were sitting there eating, and he was at the table behind us fucking probably drinking something out of a flask. And James and I were talking about food storage. And James is like, I freeze all of it before we put it in. And I'm like, well, if you pull it out of the freezer, temperature shift, you have condensation, you're going to have mold. And he's like, no, that's not. I'm like, yeah. I told James, when I moved here, I was the weird prepper. James didn't prep anything when we moved here. He kind of made fun of me about it. So years later, like, you would sit with James and tell James the same thing for 3 years. And then on year 4, James is like, hey, check this out. I had this idea. And he regurgitates exactly what you said. It takes this long for it to become James's idea. So Jacob turns around, sits down at the table. Come to find out, he's a fucking ag major. His dad has like a full-blown farm. They fucking know all the old skills. Like, Jacob is a wealth of information. And Jacob is definitely, I don't know if he's just grown on me or I have matured or a combination of both. Jacob's shit is a lot more together than Jacob's shit used to be. But Jacob has a wealth of information. The real answer, Jeremy, is I don't know the answer. It gets to a point where you have, that's why this building's here, right? We brought in another building to put buckets of food in. That's why there's air conditioner here, so we can control them. We put a dual head AC unit, which you could totally do very inexpensively. And we're going to put a wall between here so that we can keep different temperature zones. So if that's not all filled up with something that I need stable, I can fill this half with sleeping bags and clothing and shit that doesn't matter, right? And then if we need to, we can put this someplace unclimate controlled and now climate control this area. But I really don't know the answer to that. But what I would say is we've only had electricity in the United States for maybe 100 years. I could be wrong about that. But for the most part, most people had electricity for less than 100 years, and they were storing food. Scully said when he went to, I think it was Vietnam where I heard this from, he said, you know, we're meeting these people, we're out in the rice paddies, and all the houses are plankways over water, they're all flooded underneath, and they all had this room in the house that was full of rice. And we're like, why do you have so much rice? And they're like, well, the rats eat half of it. Like, there's no climate control, there's no electricity out there really. There's still, it looks like Rambo, you know, First Blood 2, where they're trying to rescue the POWs. They're running shit off of car batteries, and that's real still in much of the world. So what we consider acceptable, 99% of the world doesn't have the luxury to live by those standards. So I would say do whatever you need to do, man.
Do you ever have any old feed in the other one that goes bad? Like, or do you ever have any old feed long enough to see if it goes bad?
We do. We do.
Okay, so they do go bad. So that's kind of what he's talking about. It's a little different, but
yeah,
you've got it in a non-temperature controlled building, and it's grains.
Yeah.
So it can go bad.
Yeah. With that said, even with the mold in the corn, for instance, we took bags of moldy corn and threw them up on the hill, and they fucking grew corn. Like, there's corn all up in that motherfucker right now. There's a video of me dumping it out and then putting wood chips all over it. My intention was just for that corn to break down, become sugar, and feed, you know, worms.
Yeah.
But it fucking grew corn. There's hundreds of fucking shoots of. They didn't grow corn. They didn't produce ears, but it grew the fucking grass.
I was surprised to see how much corn is grown out here, because corn is grown where I'm from, and it's a completely different climate, you know?
Yeah.
And there's corn everywhere around here.
Yeah, well, we subsidize everybody to grow corn,
Yeah.
and then we put it in our fuel, and it fucks up your vehicles. I am of the belief that a lot of that, it's greedy men, right, that get that kickback and shit, and they do it on big scale agriculture. But I'm also of the belief that it is so that you and I cannot store gasoline. It is destroying shit, absolutely fucking ruining at a speed which I've never seen it. And there's a lot of talk that they have raised the ethanol level since COVID.
That's what I was gonna say. I heard that the acceptable level has gone up like 5 or 10%.
Yeah.
So we're not. 3 years ago we were told that our cars wouldn't work with that much in it. Now that's just the way it is.
Well, it's destroying them.
Yeah, it is.
And I'm seeing people, like, I saw a dude in one of the Toyota groups, and he's like, hey, Bucky's or whatever has non-ethanol on the pump, and he was putting it in his truck. And guys are like, hey, small motors use that. Your new vehicle, fuel-injected computerized vehicles, will actually run better with the ethanol because it cools the fuel or something to that. But you can't store it. Like, it does not it is literally, I put gasoline a few months ago in a lawnmower, thought, oh, I'll come back and run this out tomorrow when I finish mowing. Didn't. 90 days later, that fucking mower doesn't start. I'm like, Neil, so he drains the fuel, cleans the carb, cleans the carb 3 times. Finally, is like, it's fucking eating this thing up. Like, it's just it's not tuning, right? So when we buy carburetors, I buy 2 extra carburetors now just to put on the shelf. But we're putting fuel lines, right? So what we'll start doing is, on all of our motors, we won't turn them off when we're done. We'll turn the gas off and let it run the fuel out of the carburetor.
Oh yeah.
So it'll eat those fuel lines up and shit though. If you leave it in there, it is going to fucking eat something apart.
I was thinking about this because in California, you have to find the ethanol. Like, it's not everywhere because they.
No, in California, California has more ethanol. You might just not be aware of it.
They're not advertising it.
You are probably, if anything, you're not finding non-ethanol gas.
Yeah. But to me, it's a concern here because I see all these different types of gas that I've never seen before. So that's why it was on my mind. Could it, by getting a higher octane and getting a cleaner burn,
has less ethanol? Higher octane. If you can't get non-ethanol off the pump, buy higher octane.
Yeah.
It will have less ethanol in it. Now, and then when you see flex fuel, that's way more ethanol. Yeah. So they took right up the road here. We would get non-ethanol on the pump. They had 2 of them. Now they've replaced them. They have flex fuel like 87 and flex. They have 2 or 3 flex fuels even.
Yeah. I saw one the other day because, like I said, this is all new to me, so I'm paying attention to it. And one of the flex fuel pumps near my house says that it contains up to 88% ethanol.
Fucking insane.
That is insane to me. Like,
so you can get non-ethanol at one of the places in town here in Camden, and you can definitely get it at the Co-op in Waverly.
Okay.
And I would say in Clarksville, I'd say you can get it a lot of places. Yeah. Any of those farm supply places.
Well, so they have, like you said, like they have, like, it'll say 87, then it'll say 87 ethanol. But I just assume that means that there's just more.
I'm the dude that used to buy. We used to have leaded gas on the pump, right? That's what I was buying. So, but then it like sometimes like the Blaze, the Yukon Cody has in California. I would always run like lower octane because it was cheaper. Yeah. But then it would start pinging, especially certain places where we'd go uphill on a grade. You'd really hear it. Ting, 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 you'd hear the pinging. So I'd run a tank of 91 through it, and that would stop.
Yeah.
That would stop.
So I always use 91, or now it's 95, I think is what I can get here. But because I have a turbo. But every now and then you'll see like Annie's car, it's just not performing the way it should. And I'll throw a higher octane in there, and that just fixes it, you know. Yeah. Like, I mean, that's a
yeah. And you got like statement. Marvel's Mystery Oil and fuel treatment. I mean, it seems like there's something to that AMSOIL stuff.
Octane booster.
Yeah, octane booster is what I used to sell that when I was a mechanic.
I used to put it in my pre-workout.
They always made me try to sell octane booster.
All right, guys. Great questions. We have a good time doing this. I hope that you do too. You guys who put in your shirt sizes, you're at the Thunderdome level. That's $5. I hope that you feel that we are giving you $5 of value. So we're looking at doing a third level. I don't know what that will entail. That'll probably be this plus we do a live video once a week or something where you guys can actually interact on the live video, private live video. But we've got some more stuff to hash out with that. So we are now, it's 1:40 and I have literally done nothing today but this. So now we have to go inside and do the other stuff. So had a good time, and we'll see you guys on the next video. Talking about realest, one of the realest to try.